I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today about a very important subject, and that is the budget for the University of California over the next year. As doubtless all of you know by now, we're facing an $800 million reduction, roughly 20% of our total appropriations, and we need to absorb that within a very, very short period of time. Unfortunately, this has consequences for families and employees. It has consequences for students and for our programs. And I will try to the best of my ability, give you some of the answers, at least the answers that we have today. These are unprecedented times. I know of no reductions nationally over at least my career that have been of this magnitude. And I know of no similar situation where there's been such a limited horizon in terms of our ability to plan for how we're going to absorb such massive cuts. The truth is that what we're trying to do is to distribute the sacrifice and not unfairly call on one group or some other group to make up part of this deficit. By virtue of the two fee increases, the students will contribute about $200 million of the $800 million deficit. And what we're looking for is approximately another $200 million in personnel savings. It's almost unavoidable that we have to look at furloughs and salary reductions because personnel and instructional costs and the like are such a high proportion of our total budget. The rest of that shortfall, unfortunately, will be absorbed by the campuses, and you will be seeing some layoffs, you will be seeing reductions in programs, and it will have consequences, unfortunately, for our academic programs. To address some of these anxieties, let me say first that there are no perfect choices. There's no perfect justice under these circumstances. But it's really important that we hear from you and that we try to be sensitive to what your concerns are. In terms of furloughs, many employees favor this particular approach. The idea here would be you would suffer a salary reduction over the course of a year, but there would be additional unpaid days off for each employee. Salary reductions in many ways are easier to administer. We don't have to worry about staffing on the furlough days and the like. People would be paid a percentage of their previous salary. In our hypothetical proposal, they would get 92% of their prior salaries. But again, there are issues there in terms of fairness, and it really doesn't give employees additional free time. We may, in the last analysis, end up balancing between the two, the furloughs and the reductions, but that decision hasn't been made. The final decision will be made, of course, by the Board of Regents at its July meeting. There are a number of issues that have routinely come up, and I won't be able to answer all of them. My intent is to protect employee benefits to the absolute greatest extent possible. So what I'm thinking currently is that if there are furlough days or salary reductions, we will use your original salary, that is your unreduced salary, for purposes of calculating pension benefits. And I will make that recommendation to the Board of Regents, but of course the board has discretion over that decision. Then there are knotty questions of how to deal with employees who are not on state funds. The truth is a furlough day produces about $30 million in savings, but actually only $10 million of that come from general funds. And we have many funding sources. We have auxiliary enterprises, and we have research funds, and we have physician practice plans and hospital revenues, and we're going to have to look at that very carefully. On the one hand, we want equity, we want fairness. On the other hand, we have to be sensitive to the different nature of many of these enterprises. This, by its own terms, I have no power to impose furlough or salary reduction on represented employees who have signed agreements. But this will present some tough choices. We expect everyone to be a part of this effort to balance the budget. And unfortunately, if we can't reach an accommodation, there may need to be some layoff days. And you may have read that has occurred in many municipalities across the state. In terms of the senior leadership of the university will have higher reductions or more furlough days than others. You may recall that there was a 5% reduction of a group of senior leaders that took place weeks ago. But that 5% is not a permanent figure. If the employees across the system are suffering greater reductions, then we would impose still greater reductions still on the senior level employees. It's only fair that we have some sort of graduated system, recognizing that at the lower income levels, it is much harsher to apply the same percentage reduction as it is at higher levels. I wanted to say a few things in closing. First, I have great confidence in our students and our faculty, our administrative leadership, our physicians. We have great people. We're a great university. These are difficult times, but we will get through this. What I need is your strong support and a sense that we're all hanging together in this. But I have no doubts about the University of California. It's been a great system for 140 years, and it will continue to do so. And finally, what I wanted to say is this is your opportunity. The fix is not in. The decisions have not been made. There are no final recommendations to the Board of Regents. If you have some criticisms of some of the proposals that are out there, if you think you have a better idea about how we ought to do this, I absolutely want to hear from you. And the sooner I hear from you, the better. I thank you for your indulgence. I appreciate this opportunity to speak with you. And I'm assuming there will be other occasions when we'll have additional moments when we can talk about these difficult issues.